Good afternoon, everyone. It's 14 hours on the dot or 2 p.m. and we are going into our final sessions for the day. I hope there's lots of takeaways for you on this day one of the Finished Business Week. Please remember to keep your webcam off and your mics off throughout the process of the sessions. If you've got any questions or comments, kindly leave them in the chat box. Okay, so the next session runs between 2 and 5 p.m. and later it will be followed by a B2B matchmaking session. Right now, I'd like to call upon Mr. Kari Helevi, the project director of the Finnish Innovation Fund, Citra, to give us a keynote speech titled Achieve Competitive Edge Through Circular Economy.
Thank you very much, and greetings from almost snowy Finland, but it's getting to the springtime soon. I could take the control of the presentation if you don't mind, and I can click through it from my side. So thank you for the invitation, and definitely a great opportunity to tell more about our work. Unfortunately, I don't see the take. There's the take control. Perfect. So I will go through the presentation. Very good. So as said, I lead the circular economy area at Citra, the Finnish Innovation Fund, and we've been working with circular economy topics for some time. I came to establish the area 2015 for Citra, and Citra is a gift for Finland from the Finnish Parliament back in 1967. And it's the mission is to build the successful Finland of tomorrow, and that's of course still quite very valid for Finland. And if I think about why we are talking about circular economy, it's really about these three topics. So depletion of natural resources is a root cause for most of the biodiversity loss and obviously climate crisis. And for that reason, circular economy is a very important tool to mitigate both of these harmful effects for the environment and human civilization. So many times when I'm asked to talk about circular economy, people start to think about waste and recycling, and that's of course part of the circular economy. But at Citra, we have been pushing very much the full circularity, where waste is designed from the system from the early on, and you don't actually get too much to be recycled. Of course, that's not it's impossible to have fully circular system, but that is the direction that we want to take the discussion. And from Citra side, we've been working quite a lot with national strategies, and Finland, in fact, was the first country to launch the national strategy for circular economy. And we have also worked with the education system and developed different kind of tools for the society, and also created the World Circular Economy Forum, that is a leading global community in circular economy, which we hosted last week with the Netherlands government and with the Canadian government. In September, we'll have the annual World Circular Economy Forum. So just a couple of things that I think is of interest to you as well. We have provided some studies, and one of them, one of the recent ones, is rethinking ownership. It's really about how companies could actually make use of producer ownership models. In fact, where they could own the product through the whole life cycle, and this is done with Demos Helsinki and in collaboration with Systemic and University College of London. So it provides a picture of Finnish companies that have started to think about these kind of models. And it's really based on some of the business case examples we have also provided as Citra. The most interesting company list from Finland, in fact, has similar case examples, and they start from the product life extension all the way to, of course, recycling and resource efficiency. But there's a lot of interesting business models that have very, very strong digital aspects, and they are close to product as a service and sharing platforms. And not to mention, of course, or not to forget the renewability, which is an important part when we think about kind of replacing plastics out of the system. I just wanted to be a bit practical here, as well as we know we are talking about business opportunities in this seminar. So Valtra is a company that I usually use as an example because they have a pretty straightforward business model in a sense that they apply product as a service type of model here, and they take back the tractor gearboxes and remanufacture them and make them as a kind of new one, which is obviously a bit cheaper, but it's already tested as a second-hand product, and customer gets the gearbox fast back because of course you want to keep your tractor working quite often, and in that sense it's a quite nice business model and customer driven, and at the same time you save energy and material there, so it's good for the environment. So I think it's a very interesting example for Finland. There's of course a lot of different kind of business models cases in Finland, and if you're interested to look at more, we have the playbook for Finnish manufacturing industries and also chemical industries. So there we have collected the kind of how to actually build the circular business model, and there you can go from the kind of mega trend to actual business model canvas, and everything between, from technology to kind of how to recruit key personnel. So it should be quite a good place for companies to investigate whether they could actually take the circular economy path forward. We have also analyzed just recently some of the okay, it seems that you don't see currently the slides. Am I right? There was some comment here. Okay. Maybe if I just let the stop presenting again, and hopefully you can gain the access here.
Hello, Kari. I think most of us are seeing your slides, so
I
think
sorry.
You can continue. Thanks.
So anyway, I tried to fix this, but let's continue. I don't see the slides at the moment, but certainly I can go forward from my side here. If you can download it back, but otherwise I understand if you don't. But anyway, we have been investigating the electronics side as well, and there's a very interesting business opportunities in remanufacturing and the kind of take back schemes as well, which is of course very important part of the full value chain for electronics. And yes, thank you. I take the control again here and go to the slide I was at. So basically, I was here. The second thing that I'd like to say is that we haven't only focused in the Finnish solutions, which you could think as we are a Finnish think tank. We have also gathered the 39 inspiring circular economy solutions from the globe as well, and that's where you can have a look of a bit more like the global perspective. And for example, there is T-mill as a case example in the clothing industry, which is also in a big transformation at the moment. There is not so much circularity in the textile industry, and of course we want to see it to achieve full circularity, but that also means that we have to have new innovation models there, and T-mill is interesting case because it's a platform for anyone to start a circular t-shirt business, and they have many different angles there, but one of the key thing is that it's only they produce t-shirts for demand, so not like just for future reference. When it comes to Africa, we have collaboration at the moment in the African continent level, and these are just a couple of observations from Citrus side. We are not experts in Africa region itself or the kind of concrete business cases there, but our observation is that of course there's a lot of opportunities in the waste management sector. We all know that, but also the decentralized energy supply creates opportunity. And as I was mentioning about the Finnish manufacturing industries, I think this is a place where there could be good collaboration opportunities. Of course, the agricultural sector as well is very relevant. What I'd like to maybe from this slide just to raise that circular economy is of course very much built in the kind of also from the education point of view. So we have put a lot of effort in Finnish education system so that circular economy is integrated in the studies, and it also creates business opportunities but also jobs for the future as well. And as I was saying that we have a collaboration in Africa. It's with the African Development Bank and Finnish government, and the idea is to have an African circular economy facility in the future, and this is a work that I see very exciting, and I think it's a learning for Finland also how circular economy activities can be scaled from Africa to elsewhere, and the vice versa as well. So this is an exciting example. If I just conclude, as I had a very short time frame here, I would like to say that in Finland even at the moment companies are innovating themselves, but the best of the class at the moment are innovating with their customers. And in the future, they should be innovating with the ecosystem because it's a value chain play here. So it's hard to change the current linear model on your own. You need to combine different skill sets and organizations to make it happen. And finally, as an invitation, as I mentioned, we have the World Circular Economy Forum coming in September, the Canadian government, and certainly you are all invited to continue discussions there. But thank you very much for the opportunity to present from Citrus side, and good luck with the rest of the event. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that keynote speech. I'm not sure if there were any questions in the chat box for our keynote speaker. All right, we don't have any right now, but if you've got any later, I think he's still going to be available to answer your questions. Now I'm going to be moving on to the next panel, and I'll be moderating this panel. I have the honor of having Ms. Sana Orni, the Co-Creation Manager of VTT Smart Grid or Taniemi, and Mr. Marpon Novkala, who's the Senior Sales Manager at Valmet. Also, I'd like to welcome Mr. Christopher Janssen, Communications and Brand Manager at Energy Vasa, and Mr. Henry Kunninen, CEO of Weimar Corporation, and finally, Ms. Lilian Munezero Ndabanezi, who's the CEO of Weed Energy Africa. Welcome to my panelists. I think we are all on right now. Do I have all my panelists? Fantastic. Okay, so with this panel, I would like we're going to be speaking on renewable energy business models and future urban technologies. And I'll just like each of you to give us a brief introduction of who you are and what your organization is about. I'll give you each about 7 minutes, to present about who you are. So I'm going to start with Ms. Sana Orni.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's really a pleasure to be part of this panel today. My name is Sanna Örni, and I am a co-creation manager at VTT Technical Research Center of Finland. VTT is visionary research, development and innovation partner that drives sustainable growth. My topic today is telling a story about Smart Otaniemi, the project that led us to build a springboard for smart urban solutions. And it all started with the need of globally connected innovation ecosystem for smart energy in Finland. So VTT, Aalto University and City of Espoo, together with a network of companies, initiated Smart Otaniemi piloting project. The project was focused to co-innovate new solutions for flexible energy systems and digitalization of energy. We piloted, for example, smart EV charging solutions and seasonal heat storages, as well as created concepts for energy communities in urban areas. Experimentation and lessons learned brought us to the next level, and now Smart Otaniemi is aiming to become one of the leading development environments for smart and sustainable urban solutions. Cities have a key role in sustainability. 70% of greenhouse gases, 70% of energy consumption, and 70% of global waste is originated in cities. And urbanization is an ongoing trend. Over half of the population is already living in cities. So it is no wonder that cities are bursting with green initiatives and innovations. Could I have the next slide, please? Thank you. Clean energy, the necessity of our daily lives in sustainable cities. Let me explain some of the use cases where clean energy solutions are the foundational issue. First, sustainable urban mobility. Moving goods and people demands energy. Fossil-free logistics means electrification and solving, for example, how to use hydrogen as energy storages and fuel. And smart mobility is also better city planning. We need to design and control the mobility so that less power and energy is needed. Secondly, energy communities. It is no longer only big energy utilities' responsibilities to produce the energy and keep the lights on in the society. As solar PVs and energy storages are available for the building level, urban solutions are like energy cells and virtual power plants that connect to each other, helping to keep the balance in the variable energy production. And cities are places where services flourish. Services need also energy, whether they are provided by artisans in the physical sites or digital apps on your mobile phone. Security, one of the most appreciated services in today's cities, and healthcare and safety operations. They also use processes and devices that demand energy. We are talking about circular cities. Circularity definitely means that we have also circular economy of energy. For example, energy batteries that can be recycled or reused, or solar panels that have long life and good performance. Machines that help our lives, but they can be repaired and used many times by different users. And what elements are the enablers in the future sustainable cities? Firstly, digital infrastructure and smart grid. As many of the energy cities and solutions are actually data-driven, mobile phone or such as interface to use the service. The optimization of the holistic system is just not possible without connectivity and IoT. Secondly, renewable energy sources, foundation of green energy systems. We need both micro-level production as well as more centralized solar or wind parks or hydropower plants. either producing energy to the off-grid area or being connected to the national or regional grids. And thirdly, education and possibility to be energy citizens, being part of the community that produces and consumes the clean energy. Everyone has right to learn ability to use energy efficiently and be resource-wise. Schools having a big role in this. I hope I managed to inspire you with this short story about Smart Otaniemi mission. We are more than happy to introduce the companies behind Smart Otaniemi. There are big companies like Nokia, ABB and Fortum, as well as SMEs and startups that together solve the challenges and build use cases and offerings for urban energy solutions. Thanks for your attention, and I'm happy to answer the questions in the panel.
Thank you so much, Sana, for that introduction. And now I'd like to call upon Mr. Marko Nokala, Senior Sales Manager at Valmet, to give us an introduction presentation too.
Thank you, and good afternoon from my side as well. I'm in a very, let's say, challenging environment to give the presentation. I'm sitting at the site office in a container. Just don't be fooled by the background. It's not real, but I will hope that the connection is okay and I can run you through the presentation. So I work for a company called Valmet. I am at the South African subsidiary of the company, but I have a very close connection with Zambia on a personal level as well. So I know the country and the market quite well. In this opening slide, you'll see one of our small power plants that is basically the topic of my discussion today, how to generate small to medium scale power, whether it's electricity or steam, basically using biomass and or waste as a fuel. So I'm going to run you through that in 7 minutes. Before we go to the next slide, let me just say a few words about Valmet as a company. You have been graciously giving me 7 minutes to summarize about 250 years of energy business. So it's not an easy task, but I'll try to keep it brief. We are a stock listed company in Finland with nearly 4 billion euro turnover annually with 3 major business lines: power, which I'm presenting, pulp and paper, and automation. But basically, in this kind of setup, we combine the automation delivery with the power service delivery. So it's a kind of combined effort. I would also like to notice that all of our environmental control systems that we offer are meeting the BAT technology limits and are designed by the fuel and the local emissions control limit, and they are generated in-house. So Valmet has our own technologies for all sorts of emission controls as well that come with the power plants. If we go to the next slide, you have to click a few times to get I think we actually missed the middle slide there. I think we're on the last slide now. If you go back a bit. Here we go. So there is some animation on the slide. So it doesn't matter if you just go to the second slide. I will explain the event on those 3 pictures, what's going on. So you keep it as it is. So the one on the left side is called Great Fire technology. And Valmet offers this type of power plant in a small scale. When we say small scale, it's typically around 5 megawatts of electrical output and then option of generating this as a combined heat and power, which means that part of that or all of that can be combined to steam as well, depending on the end user needs. And especially if your end goal is to generate steam, generating steam from this technology means that it's a final output. If you were using electricity or fossil fuels or something, you would have to do further conversion to steam, and that will of course be costly. So this is a good way to have a process related steam available on a site. For instance, if you have processes of drying foods or perhaps a paper mill or sawmill or any other type of process where you need steam, that's an option. The middle one is what we call a bubbling fluid aspect technology. that basically is suitable for woody biomass and many types of other types of fuels. With agri-based biomass, we typically have a limit of 20% of the fuel to be used. The rest should be woody biomass or other types of fuels. And that comes from the point that agri-biomasses tend to have a long fiber content, and also they are quite moisture, and that sets some limitations for the technology. And then finally, on the right side, you see a little bit more complicated technology, circulating fluidized bed. And again, I would like to point out that in all of these technologies, on the right side, you see the back end, which is our emission control system. So all of that is our in-house production, and we have over hundreds of these boilers and power plants delivered around the world. I'm focusing on this presentation today mainly on this power plant concept over the boiler. And the reason for that is power plants that we deliver, and you will see it on the next slide, they are going to be in a scale that I feel is suitable for the fuel availability in Zambia. To give you an idea, if you are generating about 5 megawatts of electrical power, you need about 60,000 tons of fuel every year. And if you're generating 10 megawatts of electrical, you basically double that to about 120,000 tons. This, of course, depends on the moisture content and the caloric value of the fuel, but those are kind of rough figures. And if you're looking at availability of such fuels in Zambia, I think you will easily see that for any kind of forest-based biomass or any waste, we are looking at perhaps like cities, Lusaka, Livingston, Kitwe, Kabwe, Ndola, for instance, as a potential location, just because of the amount of population and availability of waste. If you go to the last slide, just to keep the time here, but I hope there's time for questions. So there you see quickly actually the sizes of these boilers, but this will be circulated to you afterwards, so we can look at the details later. Here we are basically giving you some examples of what can be done in a sense with this technology. So we basically, when we look at the market like Zambia, are looking at generating localized fuel-based production and to have this modular delivery. So in this picture, the main elements of the power plants will be shipped to the site in containers. They will be offloaded and then assembled in a 3 to 4 month time frame to ensure that we have very little risk related to the on-site manufacturing or any other processes. The connectivity to water supply, the connectivity to local electrical, and of course the national grid and or other ways of using the fuel, that's then part of the local process. But the numbers, the PP5, PP7, PP9, 11, are basically giving you indications of the power output, heat output as megawatts, and then the required fuel. And you can see that the technology based on these is then specific for the size of the technology and the fuel. But it gives you some ideas of what to do and how. And why we think that this is a good solution for market like Zambia is, of course, that we think it's fast project. We're typically looking at maybe 18 to 20 months delivery time for this. We're also looking at minimizing the site works, as I mentioned, to de-risk. There is some local skills required, and having worked with local technical and vocational training institutes in Zambia in the past, I know that there would be challenges to find certain skills. So we're trying to minimize the site problems. But a lot of other works on site, such as laying the concrete foundations, working on the connectivity, that shouldn't be a problem, but there are some limitations, of course. So I think that I would rather just leave it here and to allow for further discussions and comments from the audience. And I'm also available, of course, for any bilateral discussions after this or any other forum. So I thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marco, for that introduction. And now I'll call upon Mr. Christopher Janssen, who's Communications and Brand Manager for Energy Vasa, to give us the introduction of your company.
Thank you very much for having me. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Christopher Jansson and I am the Communications and Brand Manager for Energy Vaasa. Energy Vaasa is what we would like to call situated in Vaasa, that is the Nordic energy capital. It's not the capital of Finland, but the whole energy capital of the Nordics because of a few very, very simple yet important reasons. We like to think that if you don't see, I'm sharing my screen now. If you don't see it, just somebody write in the chat that it's not visible. Otherwise, I will continue. We are heavily invested in research and development regarding all kinds of electrical smart grid technologies. We're also very heavily active in the marine department, where we have marine solutions, hybrid marine solutions, and companies who provide these things, and of course everything within sustainable energy production and efficient energy transport and use. And all of these are today very much connected with digital solutions of many kinds. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Energy Vaasa, as I said, is a cluster. We are not one, but 160 companies, actually more than 160 companies. Each year, we put 200 million euros in R&D in energy technology. As a few examples, the Dominican Republic has 60% of the total electricity production and transportation by two of our companies, Wärtsilä and Veo. So this is something that we have actually impacted whole countries with our activities. We have a turnover of 5 billion euros combined, and we are investing 1.2 billion euros in the next 5 years in various research departments. In this area, where Energy Vaasa is active, there are only 2% of Finland's population, but we produce a whole 30% of the whole country's energy technology export. We have 12,000 people working within the cluster, and that's 25% of the whole of Finland's energy technology manpower working within energy technology. The next speaker, Voima Corporation, a bit of a plug, they are also in this energy cluster. I mentioned previously that we are very active within grid and electrification. And this has actually led to that every country in the world already has technology from the Energy Vaasa cluster and has in their electrical grid. So wherever you are, even today, when you go home and put on and off your lights, we have already technology there helping the electricity to come home to your home. And we are in every country in the whole world. And here is a few of the things that we are active in. I think I have been very efficient with my time. I was promised 7 minutes, but I think I have managed to say what I have come to say in this time already. So I will stop sharing my screen for the time being. So a big thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Christopher. And now I'm going to call upon Mr. Henri Kunninen, who is the CEO of Voima Corporation, to give us his presentation.
Yes, we can see.
Very good. Now I don't see myself, but it doesn't matter. So I'm Henri Kinnunen. It's my pleasure to be here presenting Voima Corporation. I'm a big believer in Africa. So in the old world, I used to travel quite a lot in Africa. So I visited most of the countries there. So I know how much this type of solutions are needed in the continent. So I think it's just a matter of time when we can start delivering these again. So I will present very shortly the company, our solution. So we have developed a totally different concept of this waste to energy sector, so-called modular waste to energy power plant, which you see here on the left-hand side. So our key word is probably the flexibility. So we know that this type of big plants take a lot of time to develop. So we have created a kind of modular, easy to build, easy to manufacture, easy to even move plant, which it has to be flexible for all different waste streams and waste fuels. So our plant can take in the municipal solid waste, industrial waste, RDF, construction waste, even some part of the hazardous waste and biomedical waste. So typically we come in here in the landfill, or it can be next to an existing power plant. It can be an extension to a waste to energy plant. So we are very flexible in this respect. So we can also deliver the waste pretreatment unit, even though it's not necessarily needed. So what the key is that the concept that we are presenting will anyway remain, whether you will bring the waste sorting plant or not. So our plant delivers electricity or heat. In African context, that would probably mean electricity, so you don't have need for district heating, for example. So our concept is fully scalable, so you can start with the smaller unit and then expand the factory later, or you can go directly into the bigger scale. We can bring in the plant within 12 to 15 months, which is relatively fast. And I think what is quite different to many other manufacturers, the fact we can actually relocate the plant. So in case you have a need to, for example, do some landfill mining, or then you have an issue with the off-taker, or then something happens, then the owner has a possibility to move the plant. We are focused on the small to medium scale, so we consider plants from roughly 100 tons per day up to 1,000 tons per day. So that is kind of our sweet spot where we operate. As I mentioned, we can take many different waste fuels, even biomass fuels, and the footprint that we can build the plant, because it's 100% modular, is relatively small. And what we really much focus is this decentralized waste management, decentralized power generation. I think that is the key for Africa in the future. And we also do meet the best available technologies what comes to local emissions. So we can, of course, if we can deliver these plants in Europe and EU region, we can of course deliver these plants in Africa. A few words about the delivery scopes. As Sitra also mentioned, the future is in the ecosystem, so we also are really much looking into that. I will show you one slide if I have the time to explain a bit more in detail. So in practice, Voima is a solution provider. We can act in various roles, even full EPC delivery to technology, and then we can deliver also just the technology to the sites. Maybe I don't go too much into details with this. So this technical process, we can take most of the fuels that are available. This can be a technology that acts as an intermediate solution. So in case, for example, in Zambia, you start to do the sorting, or if you don't, anyway, this solution will remain the same. So in every part of the value chain that the country is developing, we can act the same robust solution. And then in case of a need, we can also deliver the pre-sorting unit, and then we prepare the fuel by ourselves. And then depending on the situation, we can do some bioseparation if there is a need for composting, for example. We are fully flexible to provide a solution for that. And as I mentioned, it's 100% scalable. So one Voima line, roughly 15 megawatt fuel power. So it's very easy to expand. and enlarge the facility. So this would be already a 60 megawatt fuel power plant. And as these are 100% scaled and replicas, it's very easy to do similar plants in different parts of the continent. If we would be in Zambia, we could have several different sized plants based on the need and the fuel amount. And as we normally do, we can look at the site, and then we can check that how does it fit into the local needs, and it's very handy tool that we are using also. And maybe one word about this ecosystem. So as I mentioned, this could be a way forward in Zambia as well. So we could start to do some sorting, either from the existing landfill waste and the fresh waste that is coming in, if there is a need for doing composting, or if we want to go even one step further to have a biogas plant, then this Voima power plant can act in different various roles, and then take this waste that is not suitable, for example, for recycling. So fully flexible solution for the needs of Africa. And some photos of already designed plants that we have. Maybe I spent my 7 minutes already. I don't know, because I don't see the time. But if you have any questions, comments towards us, we are here to help. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Andre. We're definitely coming back to you with more questions during this panel discussion. So keep locked on, because I'm definitely coming back to you. And finally, I'm going to call upon Ms. Lilian Munezero Ndavanezi, who is the CEO of Wind Energy Africa.
Hello, hope you can see me and hear me.
Yes, we do.
Thank you, Lulu. Thanks, everyone. I will go ahead and start with my presentation, which is going to be pretty brief. My name is Lilian. I'm the CEO and the co-founder of Wind Energy. And Wind Energy stands for Women Initiative for Delivering Clean Energy. We are based in Lusaka, in Zambia, and we've been in operation since September 2016, where we started our project with selling small Pico Solar products on a cash basis. And eventually in September 2018, we pivoted to selling solar home systems, which were sold on a pay-as-you-go model. As I said, as Wind Energy, we focus on that landing portfolio and the distribution network. We offer the affordable path to electrification with our pay-as-you-go solar solution. And maybe before we go to the next slide, I'd like to maybe state our mission, which is basically to empower women in becoming our champions and our ambassadors to advocate for clean energy. We are definitely know the market, and we pride ourselves as last mile distribution. And maybe to elaborate on what we do, let's maybe have the next slide. Yes, so basically, as you know, we live in a country where 72% of the population has no access to electrification. And this is our solution that we offer to basically the lower level of the pyramid. They purchase the solar kit on a pay-as-you-go. The customer would pay a down payment, which is like a commitment fee. And also that's the only collateral that we have with the customer. He gets a starter package, which is the one you see on the left. And it comes with a panel, which is like 10 or 12 watts. It comes with lighting, with 3 bulbs. Usually a typical off-grid area, home or house will have maximum 3 rooms, and this is adequate for the type of housing. It comes with a radio, and it's also bundled up with a mobile phone. This is our initial package, which will take 18 months for the 18 to 20 months for the customer to pay for it. And how do we do this? We do recruit and train sales agents, and these sales agents, they work on a commission basis. We recruit them directly within their local communities, and this allows us to use people that are already known in their communities. They are our field team, they own the sale and the onboarding process with the customers. And it kind of always creates that relationship between the sales agent and the customer. And it gives the customer that confidence that he's buying something that is that is trustable. And our kits, they actually usually come with a 2-year warranty. So I like to say that we do pride ourselves in that unique process that we use as a with our sales agents on a door-to-door basis. And once the customer has finalized or is almost finishing with the loan, which will take 18 to 20 months, we intend to upsell the customer by giving them a TV. That is what you see on the picture on the right-hand side. And this will also come on a maybe 20 to 24 months payment loan as a customer for our trustable or trusted customers. And do I have a next slide? Yes, so basically this is also to just emphasize and explain what is our simple business model, where it's between the wide energy and the customer at home. The customer is offered the solar home system that is a starter pack with a 10% down payment, and he pays on a weekly or a monthly repayment that will take in 18 or 20 months period. Once the customer has made a good payment, good traceable and payments, we are going to start offering the TVs. That's a package that you see there, and with the credible history, this will take about 2 years to repay the loan. So we are to date in 10 locations of the country. We've touched close to 46,000 lives, and mostly what most people would take for granted, as simple as putting on a light, switching on the light, is basically done by most of these customers for the first time in their lives at this stage, when they are able to purchase, to have the lighting, to have better reading hours for their children, and a better family time for the family. A family that used to sleep maybe at 6 p.m. because it's dark in the house, they now spend more time as a family and are able to spend more time as family. This has literally improved the lives of the most people that we've reached with this with our kids, and this has changed many lives. To us, the impact as Wide Energy, which is a social for-profit enterprise, is not the impact is something that we see with literally every sale that we make. And I'd like to always say that what we are doing now is basically what's gonna change the narrative and have more lives access electricity, access better health, and so on. And as Wide Energy, we are gender oriented. We committed to having 60% of our full-time employees as female, and we are seeing it, and it's happening as we speak. So I am excited to be part of this panel. That's mostly part of my presentation, but also to end in noting that we are already excited with a potential partnership with TESPAC in our upcoming project that we're implementing with the EEP Africa. And this is very exciting, and this seminar, this Finnish week, has come at the perfect timing for us. So I don't know how much of my time I've used, but I'm here for more questions, and I'm around for the panel discussions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lillian, for that. presentation, and congratulations on your new partnership with TESPAC. Looking forward to seeing it rolling out. Now, Sana, I'm going to come to you with the first question on my end. What is the role of energy communities in fossil-free energy systems?
Thank you so much. And first of all, thanks, Mr. Lilian. Very inspiring presentation about this with Energy Africa. Yes, energy communities. I think we need all the efforts when we are building more sustainable energy systems. And thanks to this technology development that has led us in the point that it is actually affordable and profitable to build these off-grid even home energy systems and system for farmhouses and industrial parks. And of course, they can be connected to upper level grid, being energy positive or producing flexibility to upper systems or being off grid. And secondly, I think that we need variety of investment and funding sources for clean energy. And I believe that energy communities will increase this variety as more actors can invest in clean energy. That will accelerate the green growth and also produce more green jobs in society on local level.
Thank you so much, Sana. Now, this question is for Marco from Valmet. Where do you see the biggest opportunities in Zambia for small to medium scale localized energy production from waste and biomass?
All right, thank you for the question and also compliments to other presentators for the excellent comments. First of all, I think that everybody knows that the energy is a challenge in Zambia. My mother-in-law lives in Makeni, and I get frequent updates of the power situation in Lusaka, which is never good news when my mother-in-law says there's no power for long periods of time, and that is a challenge. I think that those companies that have access to fuel, as I mentioned, maybe sawmills, perhaps large-scale production facilities, and those which have access to waste as a fuel or are able to start waste sorting, that was also brought up by Mr. Kinnunen in his presentation. Those kind of companies would be really in a good space to provide that sort of starting point for the energy. I want to come back to the point that while Valmet is of course talking about small to medium scale, there are smaller solutions, and there is also, from our point of view, being a large company, some restrictions to how small we are talking about small. But we think that industrial size, when you are using on the site anywhere from 5 to 10 megawatts of electrical power, or you need the steam, that's where we think that the sweet spot for these sort of plants is. And again, having had the pleasure to visit several parts of the country, apart from those cities I mentioned, I know that in Copperbelt area, there is some opportunities for sustainable use of biomass, for instance, for the local companies to engage in this. And I'm happy to acknowledge that in the past, for instance, CEC has had some activities in this area. So I think that there is some opportunities that exist in Zambia as we speak, and it just comes to working with the local, let's say, established companies to get them into understanding the energy space. I think finally there was some question about how to organize the waste sorting, and I've been involved myself with the local company in Lusaka that was looking at waste sorting and then waste to energy solutions. I think enabling people to have easy access to drop-off points for the waste instead of illegal dumping or landfilling it to places where it shouldn't be is an excellent starting point for kind of enabling the waste to energy projects. That means that rather not do it at the location sorting, you would have a centralized sorting point, so it's easy for people to drop the waste at collection points, and then they'd be taken to the centralized waste sorting place where probably the waste to energy would also take place. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And you did speak on the power issue here. There is really a need for us to find more solutions for our power deficit here. Christopher, how is the cluster evolving and what are the growing areas in the clean tech field?
Thank you. That was a very tricky question. The cluster is actually evolving more and more towards different types of renewable energies, also into energy storage. But the clean tech field is the really important point in my life in this question from my point of view. It used to be that you need to have the most efficient engine or technology to be very green and to be able to say you are a very green company or you have green values. But now it has come to the turned around a bit that now you have exhaust scrubbers on big ships, because in the future you might be able to make synthetic fuels for the ship from this exhaust gas. So this waste becomes a valued asset. Also, what is interesting is that the customers now, they want an engine or a motor or a driver for a motor that is 1% more efficient. And with this 1% more efficiency, they don't see that we are going to save electricity bill 1%. They now think that they will be able to run their factories 1% more, produce 1% more material, sell 1% more for every time they do something with this machine. So this is now becoming the value really, that they're using the energy efficiency. And this is the key to remaining competitive in the future. So the customer is the biggest change. Now the customer wants to stretch out every last bit of energy they get. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Henry, solid waste management has emerged as a national priority in Zambia. What are the most important aspects to look into? Accesses, sorry, I'm going to repeat that. Solid waste management has emerged as a national priority in Zambia. What are the most important aspects to look into? Accesses, the visibility of developing a waste to energy plant in Zambia.
So this is good to hear. You hear me? Do you hear my voice?
Sorry. Do you want me to repeat the question?
No need, but do you hear my voice?
Yes, I can hear your voice.
Good. So it's I just said that it's very nice to hear that they have taken this very seriously, because I see that there is a lot of room for improvement, definitely. So we are strong believers in the decentralized method. So you would gather the waste from smaller areas. We did quite extensive study actually to Kenya in Nairobi, and compared what would be the difference if you have one centralized waste to energy plant compared to this decentralized. And what was quite exciting, that we found out that only with the transportation savings they could pay back these facilities. So we are very much in favor of that. We see that it would be a good opportunity for the local decision makers to consider also that there are a lot of people working in the landfills currently. So by doing an pre-sorting facility, not this kind of very advanced system, but we are talking very basic. So this would allow to bring jobs to these local communities. So we see that is one enabler, kind of for the positive way of bringing the waste to energy power plant. And this would then, of course, provide electricity for the city. And as Marco mentioned, there are some shortages, not only in Zambia, but in many other locations as well. But what we have to bear in mind that when you have a waste to energy power plant, this is not something that you can compare to the solar or wind, because we are utilizing the waste as a fuel, and we do have to clean the exhaust gases and so forth. So I would recommend that there's also some initiatives for the tipping fees for paying for the waste if it's a plant that is being done by private sector. They need to have certain tipping fees, and of course the electricity price most likely has to be a bit subsidized. I don't know how much, but a good combination between these two is definitely needed. So I would say that's something that can be supported by the Finnish companies as well. So, but it's good to see that it's in the in the agenda. So most likely the government is doing the right thing now. So I think I answered your question probably, right?
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, Lillian, you are a local women-led business in a very male-dominated industry. What are the main challenges that you have faced or you're currently facing?
Thank you, Lulu. Yes, that's no news to anybody that this sector is totally male-dominated. And challenges, are we able to hear me? Can you hear me? Sorry. You can hear me?
Yes, yes, we can.
Sorry, I was reading your facial expression. Yes, so yes, I was saying that this is a traditionally male-dominated and it comes with its own challenges. But mainly the most challenges that we do face is that it's a sector that is capital intensive, especially in terms of pay-as-you-go industry, where we buy our stock on cash and we sell it on loan. I do not see Lulu, so I'm not sure if you are able to hear me.
Hear you.
Okay, good. I needed a sign. Yeah, so I was saying we do buy on, it's a capital intensive industry, especially in pay-as-you-go. We buy on cash, we buy our stock on cash, and we resell it on loan. So that means that we get to have access to different funding, and that access to funding is very hard to come across, especially as a woman. I always give an example how challenging it was when I started the business and we had to approach some of the local banks. It's always like they're looking over your shoulder to see whom you've come with, who is the man behind the business. And being a woman and starting a business in a male-dominated industry doesn't come that easily. Yes, and maybe secondly, I would say that the sector in itself is also dominated by international companies that basically occupy 90%. So coming in as a woman, as an African, it's not easy. Maybe the third point I think I have quite a number of points on this one. That is a topic that I passionately talk about. And is also maybe finding the balance as a woman-led, as a mother and as a wife. It's not easy for long hours at work, and also having to juggle and finding that balance. It requires a lot of moral support. And I think that's one of other things that is a challenge and that is important for me when as an entrepreneur and as a female. And maybe lastly, I would say that for the women entrepreneur, there's no such thing as the boys club, where deals are made, handshake are made, and everybody is a winner at the end of the day. You don't, at least in the African setup, they don't look at you they don't look at you with the same eye when you are. There's nothing like a boys club. Basically, the female entrepreneur in a boys club would be interpreted differently. And yeah, so those are a few of the challenges I would have to say. Maybe also to note that as of January this year, we were as Wide Energy or as myself were voted into the Solar Industry Association of Zambia as vice chair, and that's quite some challenges, and will hope to empower and encourage more women to basically join the renewable energy sector. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we have a question from the chat, and I think this one is for Henry. Are most of the customers for the waste to energy plants selling to the national grid?
Yes, definitely. It can use private PPA that we are talking about, is that for the national grid, yes.
I think you have to repeat that again. We didn't get that answer.
Okay, seems that there is. But yes, I mentioned that in most cases that would be that waste energy plants are selling to the national grid, yes. So we are talking about 8,000 hours plus 24/7 operation. But as I mentioned in my presentation, that it's also possible to have this so-called private PPAs that in case that is not something that can be arranged, this electricity can be sold also as a private endeavors, when, for example, for an existing power plant or an industrial park. So, but most cases that would go to the national grid, I would say.
Thank you so much. For Marco, you also have a question, Marco Valmet. You mentioned in your presentation earlier that it is sometimes difficult to find some of the skill sets in Zambia. What are those skills? Do you have a few examples to share with us? Is Marco there? I think we've lost Marco there. So I'm just going to close off. We just have a minute.
Sorry, I had incoming call which I had to take. My apologies.
Ask us to go in sort of the way I ask questions in the same with the same order. So my final question to each of you, and you just have 1 minute to answer this question, is what are the lessons learned from successful business models in renewable energy? With you, Sana.
Okay, thank you, Lulu. First of all, user centricity is a necessity. So it's no use to push technology, no matter good it is, if the services are not easy and accessible. And secondly, I would mention the understanding the regulatory frameworks. Energy is a rather highly regulated business, and regulation varies in different markets and locations. So it's in order to build scalable business models, you need to understand the market frameworks and build local partnerships and collaborate with regulators and authorities. So I would say that solid, sustainable business models in renewable energy, they delivers both value for the business and also local communities and citizens. Thank you.
Marco is back.
Yes, I'm back.
You mentioned in your presentation earlier that skill sets in Zambia. What are those skills? And do you have any examples you can give us?
Yeah, I actually responded to the chat message now, and I think that historically there hasn't been demand for instance, kind of energy sector skills in the country. And if you look at what I'm referring to is the power plant engineers, highly skilled electrical engineers, maybe some water engineers that are required, and this mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, that sort of skills. I'm sure they are easy to develop if there are like industry-led skills development programs, but they just don't exist at the moment because there are no such plants in the country that would require such skills. But that has been, I know, outsourced from elsewhere. I know, for instance, sugar mills in Zambia are using a lot of expat power from South Africa and so forth. So unfortunately, it is not a skill that is at the moment locally available. And I fully sympathize with Sanna's earlier comment about the kind of requirements of the project execution. I think I would say that you need a muscle in your organization that can address all aspects of the work, and you need to be able to raise enough funds by the project to carry out at least environmental impact assessment and feasibility study and bankable project document. Those are typically the hurdles that a lot of the projects from scratch are struggling to get through. So I would say that before going to investors or something, put at least $1 million in your back pocket and start to work with that as your nest capital for a project. That is my kind of bottom line here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just a request to all our participants, kindly turn off your webcams if possible. Turn off your webcams unless you are asked to speak. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask the same question that I asked earlier, lessons learned from successful business models in renewable energy, and we'll just go in the order of next Christopher, Henry, and then finally Lillian to close off.
Thank you. the most successful businesses today are the ones that can implement where a new technology where you save energy, but you never sacrifice the quality of life. You maintain the same quality of life, but you save energy, or you can even increase the quality of life. These are the models now that are actually the ones who are working. So if you find something that saves you energy and basically money, and actually keeps your life the same or makes it better, then you know you have found a winner. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Henry, are you there?
Yes, I'm waiting my turn. So I think Marco raised many good points, so I don't need to repeat those. But maybe I want to raise this is as a fact that this technology already exists. If we are talking waste to energy, we are doing that in Finland. So we are moving to that 0% landfills waste scheme, and I think we will reach that quite soon. So it is very much possible to do also in Africa. So, but I would say that it's a matter of will. So these are plants that require waste as a fuel. So there has to be certain collection rate that there will be an investment that the investor is willing to put money 25 years basis to the plant. We have to be sure that there is enough waste for this time period. So that is very important fact for waste to energy plant, that you need to have access to the waste. And then of course another aspect is that there has to be an off-taker for the electricity or steam. So the technology is there, and there are a lot of success stories, not only from Europe but also in other developing countries. So we see that this is something that will happen hopefully very soon in Africa. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And finally, Lilian.
Thank you. Thanks, Lulu. I would say that the measure of success, if you ask me, it would be the ability to adapt to the realities on the ground. We've seen it with COVID, and in the pay-as-you-go business, I would say such issues like repayments, credit history, and all that. But all in all, I have learned in my few years of experience as a woman entrepreneur that a strong team and a strong partnership takes you to the success route. Thanks.
So much. Thank you so much to all my participants. I really enjoyed this session, really speaking on what's important now, which is renewable energy. And I would like to ask anyone that had any questions to continue putting them into the chat box. If you want to continue the conversation, please do get in touch in the chat box right now with some of the speakers who are actually online with us. Remember, this is just the first day of the Finnish Week of Business 2021. So much more in store. So we've had a lot of sessions so far, and we're hoping that we're going to get the results or even better than we had last year. Last year's results were direct sales, new partnerships, more local presence, more manufacturing happening here, and subsidiary registration. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen after this year's Finnish Week of Business. But now we move into a different session. And this should be exciting, I think, for most of the businesses, both from Finland and from Zambia, because this is where the B2B matchmaking sessions will begin. So I think we'll be moved into different rooms, so don't log off. We're all going to be moved into different rooms, and the conversations can continue from there. Thank you so much.